Welcome everyone to the Fall River Housing Authority regular session on Monday, May 10th, 2021. It's 5:11 p.m. Martha, will you take the roll for us, please?
Yes. Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Underhill.
Here.
Commissioner Burns.
Here.
Commissioner Tache.
Here.
Commissioner Bentley.
Present. Thank you. Do we have any citizens' input this evening?
Madam Chair.
Oh, the open meeting law, I'm sorry. I'm so used to you doing that automatically.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Attendees are further advised that the Fall River Housing Authority is making a recording of this meeting. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Souza. Again, any citizen input this evening? Hearing no citizen input, do we have any resident input this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to speak on that, Madam Chair.
Sure.
This is from the notes from the Joint Tenant Council on stuff they accomplished for last month. During April, we provided soup and chowder to select developments as part of the brown bag program. And then we provided non-perishable from MEMA to select developments. We also provided perishables from the food bank to select developments. And we also held our first Housing Authority-wide meeting on May 5th at Cardinal Medeiros Towers, which Kevin was present at, and people were really anxious to get out and start seeing people again, so it was a good thing. And then one last note on the vaccination efforts. We'd like to formally thank the Housing Authority and especially Joey De Silva for their efforts in getting as many of us residents vaccinated as possible. That's it.
Thank you. Any other residents this evening for input? Seeing none, item 2 on the agenda is minutes of the regular meeting held April 12th, 2021. Recommended action is to accept.
Motion to accept.
Thank you. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 2 is bills and communications. You have the vouchers in your packet. Do I have a motion to accept the vouchers as presented?
Motion to accept. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4 are the management reports. There are 7 management reports in your packet, the applications. Item 2 is the occupancy reports. Item 3 is the tenants' accounts receivable. Item 4 are the work order reports. 5 is the monthly Section 8 voucher activity reports. Item 6 is the monthly personnel count report. And item 7 is the Director of Modernization monthly report. Does anyone have any questions with regard to any of the reports included in your packet? We have some of our staff here available this evening to answer questions. Hearing no questions, do we have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The financial reports, the state quarterly modernization report for the quarter ended March 31st, 2021 is in your packet as well. Do you have any questions of the director with regard to the quarterly report? Seeing no questions, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5B is the state budgets. The recommended action is to approve the budgets. You also have the operating budget that was provided to you as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Item C is the operating budget book. That's the binder that you all received. That is for the fiscal year ended 3/31/22. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or concerns for the director? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item 6 is an update from the executive director. Tim?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple items I wanted to, which I felt were noteworthy. With the decrease in COVID cases now, we've rolled back some of our preemptive measures. The additional security that we instated will be ending at the end of the month, May. We've also reduced the weekend cleaning by the maintenance staff of the laundry rooms. And we've also, will be ending the cleaning contractors who have been going through our elderly sites at the end of May. So we think with the decrease in COVID, the number of people and residents, employees that are vaccinated, we don't need those services. So we do still have a couple $100,000 left should the need arise in the fall to, take care of any needs at those times. We also have applied for an emergency safety security grant for security cameras at our Sunset Hill development. We did receive prior grants for Diaferio as well as Cardo Madeira, so we're hopeful in this endeavor. We're applying for that. That should be submitted rather soon. It's a $250,000 grant, and it's a lottery type grant. It's not based on actual needs, it's just based on submitting the application and having a need for that. So we're hopeful that we'll get that. There's a free FODA conference May 17th and 18th. It's online. So if you do have any desire to participate in that, let me know or Martha, and we'll get you the information on that. We have property inspections resuming by HUD. They're going to start probably this summer. HUD will give us 28 days notice. They will be reviewing our facility of Diaferio Village as well as Bates and Towers. So maintenance has started making preparations for those inspections. Finally, I just want to note to you on the agenda, we did interview for the finance director. So we were very pleased with some of our interviews. So we do have that item further tonight. That concludes my report.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Barrows?
I just have one question, simple. The Sunset Hill camera grant, is there a date where there's a closing period and you expect to hear back, or is there?
I'd say by the end of the summer.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, moving on to new business. Item 1 is modernization. 1A is the contract award for the roof replacement at the Bullitt/Oak Grove Avenue. It's a Chapter 689-4. The recommended action is to award the contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Collins Construction Company, Inc., in the amount of $33,185. Do I have a motion to award the contract?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or concerns for the administration? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item B is a change order number 2 for the elevator improvement project at Cardinal Madeiras Towers. Change order number 2 is an increase of $4,918 to the contract for the elevator pit foundation waterproofing. Note that the change order number 2 is the actual time and material costs for the item PCO number 4, approved by this board on March 8th, 2021, as a time and materials item with a dollar value.
Was that an item that we approved? I'm trying to remember, because they didn't have access to the internal.
Yes.
So once they got a good look at it, they said, hey, we're gonna need X, Y, and Z. And this is just the cost to
That's the actual
whatever
cost.
X, Y, and Z is to repair it.
Right.
All right.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, can it be noted that I vote present on that article?
Sure. Item C is a certificate of substantial completion for the bathroom improvements at Sunset Hill, Heritage Height, Father DeFarius, North Rodcliffe Apartments, Fordney Apartments, Benny Costa Plaza, and George E. Riley Plaza. Recommended action here is approval.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item D is a change order number 1 for bathroom improvements at Sunset Hill, Heritage Heights, Father Vincent DeFarius Village, North Rodcliffe Apartments, Fordney Apartments, Benny Costa Plaza, and George E. Riley Plaza. Change order number 1 is an increase of $3,168.08 to the contract due to unforeseen conditions following the removal of existing fixtures and material components, including a 62-day extension to the contract period due to delays in the project scheduling as a result of COVID-19. Any comments or questions?
Move for adoption.
Do I-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item E is a certificate of substantial completion for the firearm control panel upgrades at Cardinal Medeiros Towers and at Nicholas W. Mitchell Heights. The recommended action is approval.
Move for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Madam Chair, again, I want to vote present on that.
Item 2 on the agenda, 2A, is an open meeting law complaint filed by Patrick Higgins. The recommended action is to authorize our general counsel, Attorney Souza, to draft a response to Mr. Higgins and the Office of the Attorney General regarding the emailed complaints filed. Any questions or concerns? Do I have a motion to authorize Attorney Souza to draft the responses?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item B is permission to advertise for interior painting of vacant units, federal and state. It's a 5-year contract.
Just a question, is this normally a 5-year contract? Or is it a 3 when you add on, or what is it normally?
Chairwoman Sadi, you want me to approach?
Sure.
This is the paint. Commissioner Bentley, all I'm looking for is the permission to advertise for the potential of a 5-year. In the past, housing's done 3, in the past, housing has done 2 with options. I'd like to have the ability to go out and solicit and hopefully get the best deal back. Sometimes, like I did with trash, I'll put a percentage figure on what can happen in the 4th and 5th years, you know, to make sure that we kind of keep costs under control and have some cost certainty. Now, the state allows 30B, which Commissioner Taché is familiar with, allows for a 3-year contract. HUD does allow for 5. However, in Massachusetts, you're supposed to ask your governing body if there's the potential that you may want to do anything past 3. So that's why I'm here. We wouldn't be in, if I just advertised the 5 and did it, we wouldn't be under any strict regulatory violation, but this gives me at least the ability to advertise. The potential is such, and again, you folks award. So you're gonna get another view of this when the bids come in. We'll have the lowest responsible, and I'd let you know if it's a 2 with 3 multiple 1-year options to renew, if we have a 3, if the 5 collectively seemed different, but at least the potential to advertise, and give us a little leeway as how we're going to award,
So could you do it as a 3 with a 2-year option?
I could do a 3 with either the 2-year option
Or
as
2 one-year
one,
options?
or 2, and that's what I prefer. So the 3 with with 2 one-year options to renew at the sole discretion of the Housing Authority. So again, I have the potential for a 5. It doesn't necessarily, you folks, our commissioners will ultimately award award the contract of whatever recommendation I give back to you. But that's the likely scenario, a 3 with 2 individual one-year extensions. And again, at our discretion, can't be invoked by the vendor, by the contractor.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
So Tim, so are you saying this is really a 3-year contract with 2 options, not a 5-year contract?
That's what there's
As-
the potential of a 5. That's why I want to bring it to your attention. Just in case, because of that rub between mass law and federal law.
Okay.
Move for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item C is permission to advertise for the labor attorney services. This is also for a 5-year contract.
Same, really same rationale. Planned on, would like to do a 3-year with with 2 separate and distinct options to renew after that. Again, it's a proposal process, so we'll be considering price and non-price factors. But, again, really, if 3 years, we're probably going to be in the same general ballpark as far as an hourly fee. This is an indefinite quantity. There'll be an hourly fee. But again, you also have the ability to, when the contract ends, that's it. We can go out again, for an RFP. So it creates some flexibility also.
So with those said, shouldn't both these votes be for a 3-year contract and the option for 1 or
Yeah.
2 additional years?
Yeah, maybe I didn't.
As opposed to the way it's written?
Maybe I didn't frame it properly, but again, what I'm looking for is the ability to at least have a 5-year out there, because again, that was my intent, because I'm exceeding the 3-year cap that 30B has. But essentially, yes, that's the scenario. I'm looking to award a 3-year with 2 years, 2 separate 1-year options to renew.
Madam Chairperson, is this a new position? Or do we currently have someone occupying?
This would be the contract currently held by KP Law.
By whom?
It's KP Law. It's for the
Okay.
both
It's not
housing
someone
and.
currently employed by us right now.
Correct. We have a contract in place now that's expiring
Okay, thank you.
soon.
So I would feel more comfortable if this said a 3-year contract with 2 1-year options, as opposed
We
to a
agree.
5-year
Sure.
contract.
Yeah. I have no problem with that.
You get to the same place, it just gives those
Exactly.
options.
Exactly.
So we just need a motion to amend?
We need a motion to amend.
Motion.
Do I have a motion to amend item C, permission to advertise for labor attorney services for a 3-year contract with 2 1-year options?
So moved.
Second.
Certainly. I'd like to go back to item B, if it's okay with my fellow commissioners. Item B,
Hold on, point of order, I'm sorry. So we just made a motion to amend
oh, I'm sorry. We
C.
need.
Now we have to approve
We need a motion
what
to
we-
approve C.
So we
That's
approved
right.
the amendment, now we gotta approve the,
That's right.
Full
You're right.
motion.
Correct, sorry.
if you don't mind, sorry.
I don't at all. Do I have a motion to approve permission to advertise for labor attorney services for a 3-year contract with 2 1-year options?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Going back to item 2B, item 2B, do I have a vote to rescind the permission to advertise for interior paint of the vacant units, federal and state, for a 5-year contract?
Motion to rescind.
Second.
Staying with item B, do I have a motion to amend item 2B, permission to advertise for interior painting of vacant units, federal and state, for 3-year contract with 2 one-year options?
Motion to amend.
Second.
And then lastly, item 2B, do I have permission to advertise for interior painting of vacant units, federal and state, for a 3-year contract with 2 one-year options?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry for that confusion. Item 3 is personnel. Item 3A is a compliance officer position. The recommended action is to approve the job description and the in-house posting. Tim, do you want to?
Yes, I think the board may recall we brought this item before you a couple months ago. At that time, we presented the position and explained our rationale for it, which is to help to streamline the management structure over in the Section 8 department. And that to do that, we would need to, wanted to engage the employees that were affected by this position as well as the union to make sure that we've addressed all concerns and possible issues. And this position will be encompassing several duties that are now being handled by other employees that have adopted those duties throughout the years because of the increase in HUD regulations and whatnot. So, and I think you may recall that Director Povar spoke about the extensive duties that are required by these other employees. So we've talked with the affected employees, we've spoke with the union, and everybody is in agreement that this would be a good position. We don't see any obstacles from that front. The position description has been provided you. The only change I want to make to that is the salary range is incorrect. It's actually should be 63,438 to 76,422. So it's lower than the one that is on the form. So that will be reflected in the final position description. Okay, so we're looking to post this position. So we're seeking approval from the board of the position and permission to post. And myself, the deputy director or the director of management is here. If you have any further questions on this.
I don't really have any questions. I think we've spoken about it several times about the need for this position, so everybody's pulling on the same end of the rope on this one. Seems appropriate, so I'll put a motion to approve the job description and post in-house.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item B is a inventory asset data entry clerk position. The recommended action is to ratify the appointment of Justin Craver.
Motion to ratify the appointment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item C is a clerk interviewer position. The recommended action is to ratify the appointment of Khalil Reith.
Motion to ratify.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item D is for a temporary property manager position. The recommended action is to ratify the appointment of Betsy Guzman.
Motion to ratify.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item E is a leave of absence requested, submitted by Timothy McCoy. Because of a conflict of interest that I have with this particular item on the agenda, being the CFO of the City of Fall River, as well as the chair of this committee, I will be recusing myself and turning the meeting over to David Underhill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The item E, the leave of absence request submitted by Timothy McCoy, which I believe you all have a copy of his letter that he submitted to the board to read about why he wants to do this. So I think the first thing I ought to do is entertain a motion to go into a discussion session so we can voice our opinions or ask any questions that we might want to ask. Do I have a motion?
Motion to discuss.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So if I can start, I received the request from Mr. McCoy last week, which I forwarded on to the board. And we did speak on Friday in person. Mr. McCoy came into my office. And if I can just state some of the reasons for the request. I think he's enumerated them. Basically, he's looking, I'll let that go for a second.
Just saying hello.
Thank you, Ed. Mr. McCoy is looking for 150 days of absence, leave without compensation. He's been offered a short-term position at City Hall, and his letter states that he hopes to start around May 12th or leave on May 12th, and he does have the intention to return at the conclusion of that, which would be around October 8th. I've provided you all with a copy of our personnel policy and the union contract regarding the sections that pertain to leave of absence. The union contract states that the leave of absence with pay will be granted for the following: jury duty, retirement for physical exams, and blood donations. And this addresses leave with pay, and he is not requesting leave of absence with pay. So our personnel policy addresses leave of absences, which we go to in the case where the union contract does not address it. And our policy is that the authority will endeavor to assist the employee with their request if it's not inconsistent with our needs. The written request must be submitted for approval to the board at least 3 weeks ahead of time. Must include the date of the request, why it's being requested, and projected date of return, which he did provide those. And it will only be issued with the understanding the employee intends to return to work at the conclusion. And further, the leave with pay will be only approved after the employee has exhausted earned vacation and personal time. And the authority does have the right to fill or eliminate the vacant position if it's required by our needs. Not that we would do that capriciously or without a real need or desire, but it's just in the policy. So as the executive director, my overriding concern is filling the needs of the authority. And I think our procurement director is one of the primary responsible employees that is really critical to our operations. From the job description, I'll read: the procurement officer is a highly responsible administrative position in which the incumbent oversees and monitors all procurement activities, including the purchase of all materials, supplies, equipment, and various contractual services. Primary responsibility is monitoring those contracts for compliance, as well as having the skill and ability to analyze areas of contractual non-compliance. And I thought, we had one item tonight on the agenda, I think, which also showcased a bit of why we do need a procurement director to address the question and concerns that came up on the painting contract and the legal contract, and to not only address, but to have that knowledge base to be able to give us the correct answer. So, my opinion sitting here is it's a very important position. I understand his request for the wanting to take the leave, but I don't think it's in our benefit to grant it. It's not a medical request, something that may be required by federal law. It's more of a personal reason. So, again, with all respect to Mr. McCoy, you know, I can't myself recommend approval of this to you. Obviously, the board has their the right to express their own opinion on this, but I just wanted to give you my thoughts on it.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Any other commissioners want to speak? Commissioner Burns.
Just got a question. Should this be approved, what do we do? So we obviously need to go through the process of procurement. So what
If
would
this were to be
the option?
approved?
If it's approved, yeah, what do
Sure,
we do?
sure. Well, that's a good question, and there are a few things we should consider. I believe there would have to be an MOA worked out with the union, because he is in a bargaining unit, so there should be an MOA between the parties. There might also need to be one between us and the city of Fall River. We need to address things such as the continuation of benefits, other issues such as costs we may incur, say overtime. You know, would that be paid for by the city versus the authority picking up those costs? So there are some administrative tasks, and there's also the policy requires the use of annual leave and personal. So whether that would be waived or not, we'd have to, you know, see where that fell out, if you will.
As far as procuring, going through that process, does he have a subordinate that would step in? Would you be then coming back again, provided this gets approved, would you then be coming back and saying, let's post for a temporary position? How does that work?
I believe we would, yes. We have an assistant in that office. So typically, a leave like this, we would post, and we would be subject to paying the higher rate, which would be the first step of the procurement director's salary, as well as any overtime that was needed.
Go ahead. Commissioner Bentley?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. So there is an assistant procurement officer currently, and that person would in essence become the interim procurement officer?
That's correct.
Okay. And part of what you had read before was that they could be required to use their vacation and leave, right? Do you know how many days that currently would be?
Yeah, Tim currently has about 11 annual days and 1 personal days on the books.
Now you're saying, you mentioned a couple of times about overtime. What would that be for overtime for the staff to get up to speed, or overtime for whom?
If there's overtime required during the work week by
Is that
the staff.
Yeah, is that a typical thing, that there is overtime required?
I'll let the deputy comment on that. I'm not sure personally.
No, not in that department.
So not normally?
No.
There wouldn't normally
Oh,
be
normally
that.
with both?
Normally, yeah.
Right, normally not. This is just in case, obviously, with the one person now handling their own job plus the director's job, if there was a need.
Would this be something that, if a question came up, that the interim wasn't able to answer, they could reach out to Mr. McCoy and ask him that question? Or, you know, if something came up out of the ordinary that they weren't familiar with?
So in preparation for tonight's meeting, I went over to speak to Mr. McCoy and asked him many of these questions that you're bringing up. And I think it would make sense, since Mr. McCoy is here and he's requesting this, maybe we let him speak on some of these questions or answer some of these questions, and then we hear it from him. And that way gives you a better sense of comfort or discomfort on how you're gonna vote.
Commissioners agree to that? Commissioner Taché, you have anything?
My concern is, I've known Tim for quite some time, and I was quite pleased when he joined us after leaving Government Center. And he's done a very good job as procurement officer. As an executive director at UMass Dartmouth a number of years ago, procurement was one of my departments. and he has done an exceptionally good job. And I cannot support this leave of absence because it's going to affect us dramatically.
Thank you. You guys wish to hear from Mr. McCoy? You think that would be beneficial?
Yeah, I don't know if you need a motion to have Mr. McCoy come down.
I'll entertain a
Tim,
motion
can you
to
come
have.
up, please?
Motion, do you need a motion to have Tim McCoy come up?
No, we're already in.
We're in
Okay.
discussion.
Okay, all right, I just didn't know how formal we were being.
Mr.
so-
McCoy, can you step up?
I can be formal, informal, crazy, whatever you like.
Informal. It's an informal discussion.
Yeah.
Thanks, Commissioners and Vice Chair. So, brief background, extremely brief. You know, I was asked if I would consider this on a short-term basis, 150 days. Being a guy who has grown up in Fall River, you know, to me, it's an unbelievable opportunity, resume builder. The experience of the opportunity is incredible. At first, I even said, geez, you know, there's no way. There's no way. This is such almost seemed like an opportunity that was too good to be true. Thought about it and whatnot, and you know, I said, you know what, why not? You know, why not? I think I have the skills. I think I have the experience to give it a shot here. Now, again, as far as protecting the authority, you know, right now our bids are the ones that are going on out on the street this week, brings us to August as far as summer bids. So summer is typically our downtime. As you know, our emergencies are no heat, leaky pipes, burst. Most of the time in July and August, we'll have anywhere from 30 to 50 people out on vacation. It is a quieter time of the year. There was another reason, another thing that came into my contemplation of this, because if it was ever going to happen at a better time, it would be now. Now, I also went back to the administration and I said, listen, I go in every weekend now without pay or overtime. I am in either Saturday or Sunday every weekend free of charge as we speak. I said I needed to be known for our folks at housing that I'm willing to do the exact same thing. The administration went farther and said, if for some reason you're needed on a Tuesday afternoon in July because there's a problem over there, I'm free to go. No cost sharing. I'm not looking for pay. I'm not looking to keep accruing vacation or accruing sick. I now have a subordinate who just last week passed the first exam to get the procurement license. She passed with a score in the 80s. She's scheduled for the second one that begins, I believe, May 24th or 25th. That'll be number two. And even though I do have a solid return date of give or take, I mean, I put a time frame in the letter, but let's say give or take, you know, Columbus weekend, whenever this starts, she's on schedule to have the license by the end of the year. Currently, we have our deputy director has the CPO license, which is why I'm comfortable with the RFP that we're putting out this week. You need someone with the CPO designation. The labor we're putting out for housing and labor legal services. I'm never on the evaluation teams anyway because I'm on the front line with the vendors. I believe that's always the best policy to do it. But I know we have Deputy Director Spadella here. So, you know, I would not be, if I felt in any way, shape, or form that I would not be available to any of the needs here at housing, you know, this would not have even been contemplated. Right now, as I said, the things that go out this week take us to the end of August. I believe our main bids in the month of September are electrical parts and paint. And then I'm back in October. The important thing I'd like to bring up here is you know, that warehouse, we're a pretty tight unit at that warehouse. We're not just co-employees and colleagues, you know, we're friends. You know, I typically see one of the folks who are here or my assistant, either one of the 4 or 5 every weekend. So in other words, we're also friends socially. In no way would I be leaving and set them up set them up in the position to fail. It's just, that, again, not happening, which is why I wanted the administration to stress that I am here at a snap of the fingers. Whether it's a phone call, whether it's before work, we open at 9 o'clock. I start at 7:30. I'm one of the few 40-hour union employees that is here, and I still come in every Saturday and Sunday just to ensure that I didn't miss anything. A vendor wasn't asking, there was no RFIs out there where someone was looking for some information related to a bid. But, I feel that this is, the timing of this, I feel like I could be an asset on the city side with the recovery plan that's coming out and the budget, the budget hearings that are going to come out. And by the same token, on our side, we're kind of the opposite of the municipal schedule as far as, our, for lack of a better term, our busy time of the years. So again, it kind of, the stars kind of aligned up for a situation like this. And again, from a personal note, do I get any personal benefit? Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a real, I'm going to get a master's in public administration and in municipal finance in 5 months, but I do plan on returning here. This has a finite ending point. And again, it's, I understand you have the dates there. If for some reason I got to stay till next Monday, it'll adjust the dates a little bit. But again, I'm not setting up my colleagues to be in a position where it's going to collapse. And I respect and agree with Commissioner Taché. The other aspect of what I'm confident about, over 5 years, we've refined. We didn't have on-call contracts on the operating side. So now, every $2,000, $3,000 job, we were going out to get the quotes. Now we have 8 or 9 trades on top of our internal employees who are basically a phone call away from coming in and addressing any needs that would affect the building directly. If they come up during REAC or not. And the reason why we really did it was in preparation for REAC, instead of having to be last minute looking for, quotes and things of that nature to comply with 149. Those 8 or 9 contracts are in place. They are bid in November after I'm back for the next calendar year. So I haven't gone into this blindly, and I certainly haven't just kind of shied away from the concerns of my current employment. I have to come back here in 150 days. That's how it is.
Thank you, Tim. Anything else from any of the commissioners?
If I may,
Yes?
certainly I would tell you that it's a non-traditional leave of what I had in my own mind of what leave is for: military leave, medical leave, family leave. So kind of trying out, testing the waters in a professional manner is different than what I expected. That being said, looking at all the checklist over here in the policy, it talks about a leave being without pay. That's what you're going for. The leave will not exceed 12 months in duration. You're not doing that. There is question about the 3 weeks prior to the requested leave date, and it specifically notes that you need to have the intention to return to work, which you just came down publicly and said you intend to come back. So it's a short-term leave. I will tell you, I can echo Commissioner Taché's comments. You've done a fantastic job. You're a valued employee. I appreciate you always informed and on top of things. I don't want to lose you. But in that regard, I feel like, even looking at the policy, it talks about the authority will endeavor to assist the employee in this process. It's not to my benefit to send you out the door for a leave of absence, Tim. I think we do have some reduction in talent, but I think that also you can make an argument for some positivity out of that too. Your subordinate gets to see a little bit more of what you do, and then when you come back, having multiple people who have kind of seen that, to the extent that the job that you do, that could benefit the authority. So, I am, after much debate in my own mind here, I'm okay with it based on those parameters, and I'm not sure if there's anything you have to do with exhausting all vacation and personal time. It's just another note in here that says it will only be approved, and I don't want to act outside of that either. So whether dates need to change, whether exhausting things needs to change, everything else seems to check out. You're looking for unpaid leave, you are doing it for less than 12 months, and and your intention is to come back. So with that, I yield.
Commissioner Bentley?
Yes, I am, I think, more in agreement with Commissioner Burns, but my sticking points are the 3 weeks of notice that should have been given for 3 weeks. The other thing I would say is exhausting the vacation and leave time.
Is there anything you can do about that, Tim? With the timing?
I mean, it really is the pleasure of the board. I mean, my intention was not to accrue sick and vacation at the time I'm gone. Obviously, I'm not being paid. I was just looking to leave them on the, I also wasn't looking to cash out or anything like that. I was just looking to leave them on the books, just kind of untouched, because again, I have to return. And want to return, by the way. As far as the 3 weeks notice, I mean, if that is somehow putting an undue burden, or if it's the commission, if it's the pleasure of the commission is that that's how you all would like it to go, then I'd have to comply with it, and the dates would just adjust accordingly, But like I said, my intention with the sick, because I'm going to be earning pay over there, so I wasn't looking to A, cash out, or B, exhaust them. So I mean, I guess I would be asking the commissioners if I could just leave them on the table. But if you want to make that a requirement, then then that's a requirement. I also want to mention, by the way, I was under the impression, when deliberating this and going back to the union, that this had been done by union folks before. Where if someone wanted to relocate down south and they took a 6-month leave of absence to go, and actually didn't have a job, but went down there to explore, ultimately decided they liked it down there, and then after the 6-month leave of absence resigned. So I was, and I believe that was unpaid. So again, I did obviously check with the union too, and because I didn't want to also make it look like I was trying to set precedent here. I was in the impression that it's been done before. So, but again, whatever pleases the commissioners, it was my hope to leave the vacation and sick there for when I come back, and then obviously start accruing when I'm back actually working. And again, by the way, anytime over here or on the weekends where I have to help out, I'm not looking for pay for that. So, and that's a pleasure of mine to do that, basically. The 3 weeks notice is really your call.
Commissioner Burns, could you read that part again about the different boxes to check?
So I kind of made my own boxes here. But leave without pay, not to exceed 12 months, at least 3 weeks prior notice. And it ended with leave without pay will only be approved after the employee has exhausted all earned vacation and personal time.
And if I can just interject too, as far as any conditions the board may be looking at, again, I mentioned there should be an MOA between us and the union, probably us and the city. And should that include items such as not accruing sick annual, the payment of health insurance, the payment of pension during that time, Again, if he goes onto the city's books completely, that's fine, they would take care of it, I'm not sure. But it'd be good to get these worked out via the MOA, so there's an understanding before things happen. Because there are costs, again, if, just the the pay differential between the assistant procurement officer and the procurement officer, so the city understands they need to pick up that tab, unless Mr. McCoy wants to pay out of his new salary. But there are.
Be paying my salary.
Right. Thank goodness.
There's actually a savings of
From what, I'm sorry, from what you're being paid currently and what your subordinate who's, I'm assuming less senior, less certified, if you will.
My subordinate would go up about 8,000, and, I mean, again, prorated, I'm not gonna
Sure.
quote you. My salary is obviously off the books for 5 months. And the pension contribution, is the city that.
For those 5 months the city takes over.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Any motions made?
I'll make a motion to approve the leave. I have a question though, if that's appropriate.
Sure. What's your question?
Are we just approving it or are we sending it over to, say, Attorney Souza and Tim to kind of make sure you guys all agree we're all on the same page going forward? So it's just approve and kind of let you guys handle that, put pen to pad and say this is how, you know, the mechanics of it will work.
Attorney Souza?
Yeah, it would be just basically an approval. You're approving the request submitted by Mr.
And
McCoy.
you guys will handle the,
Yes.
So without the requirement to take the annual leave, just, yeah, no, just to be clear, because the policy is the policy. That's fine, you can do that, but you just have to be clear so we know what we're going to be charged with.
So I'm a rule follower, so, and if the rule says you need to take the leave, I would request that the leave is taken.
so I suspect the motion would be to approve the leave of absence, subject to the
11-day
provisions
annual
of.
leave and one personal thing. That was what we were just informed of.
That's how it's worked.
Unless you want to rephrase.
No,
You good?
that works. That's
Okay,
good.
so there's a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. McCoy?
Clarification, the personal vacation, can the sick stay on the book, or do I have to use the sick time also when I don't really need it?
It doesn't address sick time at all.
It doesn't address sick time, so what it says is exhaust all earned vacation time and personal time, and I don't know how you guys accrue them offhand, but it doesn't address sick time.
Silent and sick, thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Don't see any. Martha, can you have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Present.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, we bring Chairwoman Sahadi back in. Thank you, Chairwoman Sahadi. I now relinquish the table. Back over to you.
Thank you. So item F is the Director of Financial Position, or Finance Position, I should say. The recommended action is to approve the appointment of Amber Burns. And we'll just make a point that Amber Burns is not related to our fellow Commissioner, Jason Burns.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the appointment?
Motion to approve appointment.
Second.
Martha, roll call, please.
Commissioner Bentley,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes. Item G, H, and I are items that we will need to go into executive session for. Item G is a labor relation case. It's case number 648-20. It's anticipated that executive session, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss with respect to collective bargaining, the ASME Council 93 versus the Fall River Housing Authority. Labor Relations Connection, case number 648-20. If we were to have this in open meeting, it may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and therefore, as the chair, I so declare that we go into executive session. Item H is a wage reopener for year 2021, units A and B. The recommended action is in anticipated executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategies with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and I, as the chair, declare so. Item I is Watuppa Heights litigation update. Again, with regard to Watuppa Heights litigation update, I will be recusing myself from this discussion as I am the chair of this committee as well as the CFO for the city of Fall River. The recommended action for Watuppa Heights litigation update is anticipation executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss the strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and as the chair, I so declare that it will. I will go into executive session for the first two items and then leave executive session for the third item, coming back into full session for the remaining of the meeting. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion to go in executive session.
Second.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes.
Commissioner Underhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Tache,
Yes.
Commissioner Bentley.
Yes.
Chairwoman Sahadi.
Yes.
In regular session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Good night.